It's an ordinary day in Henderson, Nevada, 2003. Tony Hsieh, fresh off selling Link Exchange, is staring at a strange little online shoe store called Zappos, barely turning heads, barely breaking even. But Tony smells something more, something not about shoes, but about happiness. How do you turn a plain e-commerce site into a billion-dollar empire? More, how do you build a business that makes people truly happy, employees and customers alike? That question lingers unspoken. Yet about to reshape everything Tony thinks he knows about business. Tony's journey to Zappos wasn't a straight line. It's a roadmap of unexpected detours and wild bets that set the stage for a new kind of company. Let's rewind to how shoes became happiness fuel. In 1998, at just 24, Tony and his college friends sold Link Exchange to Microsoft for a cool $265 million. Most would bask in the glow and retire early. Not Tony. Instead, he bought a stake in an unnoticed online shoe seller, Zappos, a company with no profits but wild potential. The gamble? To inject Zappos with a new philosophy. At this moment, Tony knows it's about more than shoes, but what exactly? That question hung like a cliffhanger in his mind. Most companies obsess over their product, features, pricing, design. But Tony realized the engine driving Zappos wasn't shoes, it was culture. Imagine a sports team where the players hate each other. No matter how good the talent, the game falls apart. Culture acts like oxygen, invisible yet essential. Without a healthy culture, profits choke, customers leave, and employees fade. Tony's radical idea: culture should lead product, not follow it. Here's the twist. Tony treats happiness not as a fluffy ideal, but a measurable asset. Like cash flow for accountants, happiness became their currency. When employees loved their work, lived the values, and felt purpose, customer service soared. And with stellar service came loyal customers, customers who returned, recommended, and grew the business exponentially. Suddenly, profitability and happiness didn't compete, they danced together. Zappos didn't just sell shoes, they rewrote the rules of customer service. But what does it really take to turn service into an unforgettable experience? Let's peek behind the scenes. One famous story. A Zappos customer called late at night, chatting with a service rep for 10 hours straight, not about shoes but life. Ordinarily, such a call would drain resources, but Tony saw this as gold, proof that authentic connection beats scripted support. That marathon call became a cultural anthem, a concrete signal that Zappos prioritized people over speed. Employees at Zappos aren't just order takers, they're cultural warriors. Tony flipped the script by empowering reps with the freedom to do whatever it takes. Send free upgrades, write personal notes, even send flowers. The analogy? Think of employees as artisans crafting each customer's happiness, not assembly line workers exchanging transactions. This autonomy bred ownership, pride, and extraordinary service moments. What happens when customers feel truly valued? They don't just buy, they evangelize. The simple act of surprise and genuine care set off a ripple effect. Social shares, return purchases, and hundreds of unsolicited thank you notes. Tony found that turning customers into fans was the secret weapon for sustainable growth, proof that extraordinary service isn't a cost, but an investment. No company culture appears by accident. Culture is something Tony and Zappos engineered, sometimes painfully, always deliberately. The question: how do you build an intentional, contagious culture? At Zappos, resumes took a backseat to soul. Tony insisted. If someone couldn't live the values, they couldn't work there, no exceptions. Job interviews included culture fit questions like, "Tell me about your happiest moment," or "What does passion mean to you?" This meant some top talent got turned away, but what remained was a team that breathed the same air. This uncompromising stance established a foundation no strategy could replace. Tony distilled Zappos' culture into 4 core values, like a compass in a wild storm. Deliver while through service, embrace and drive change, and the others guided daily decisions and behaviors. Imagine culture as a GPS system. Without it, teams wander. With it, everyone moves toward the same destination, even when the road gets bumpy. These values became the company's North Star. To keep those values alive, Zappos created rituals that felt more like family traditions. From quarterly culture book publications where employees candidly wrote about the company, to surprise parties and themed workdays, these rituals reinforced belonging. They weren't just fun distractions. They were glue binding people through shared experience and stories, making culture stick long-term. You might think focusing on happiness means sacrificing profits. Tony flips that on its head, blending passion, profit, and purpose into a business cocktail that actually scales. Here's how he does it. One of Zappos' secrets to profits: total transparency. Instead of sneaky upsells or hidden fees, Tony's team focused on earning customer trust. Think of it like a bank account. Every honest action deposits goodwill, every deception withdraws it. Over time, that trust balance grew massive, turning customers into repeat buyers and brand advocates. Profits weren't machines. They were the natural outcome of integrity. Passion wasn't just a buzzword. It was a magnet for innovation. Zappos encouraged employees to experiment on ways to better serve customers, from creating awe-inspiring packaging to crazy fast shipping ideas. This culture of passionate explorers was like a greenhouse where ideas blossomed. The payoff? A business constantly evolving, outpacing competitors stuck in stale routines. Purpose gave Zappos a pulse. Beyond transactions, Tony envisioned making happiness a measurable business aim. Customers weren't just directed to cool shoes. They were invited into a happier way of living through service and community. This emotional connection transformed customers into believers who actively promoted the brand not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Running a billion-dollar company isn't without smoke and mirrors. Tony shares mistakes and near disasters that taught Zappos how to keep the fire burning bright. Here are the fire starters you want to avoid. As Zappos soared past $1 billion, culture strain crept in. New hires brought fresh energy but also different vibes. Tony realized culture can't just be declared, it must be intentionally preserved and adapted. Like a campfire, if you don't nurture the flames with fresh kindling and clear out the deadwood, it dies out. This epiphany led to more deliberate onboarding and culture rituals, saving the company's soul amid growth. Growth's lure hides pitfalls like the siren's song. Rushing to scale, Zappos nearly outsourced customer service, an efficiency move that risked losing the personal touch. Tony called a hard stop. The lesson? Growth strategies must preserve core differentiators, not sacrifice them for speed or cost-cutting. Grow smart or crash hard. When the company stumbled, shipping delays, employee burnout, Tony didn't hide the failures. Instead, Zappos dissected them openly, turning every mistake into a masterclass that pumped oxygen back into the fire. This radical honesty created trust internally and externally, proving that owning your failures breeds resilience and innovation. Remember that quiet moment in Henderson when Tony first saw Zappos, not just as a shoe seller but as a happiness project. We circled back. From humble bets to a billion-dollar brand fueled by culture and connection, Tony's journey shows that real business magic lives in happiness. So here's your try this. Start small. Ask one employee what would make their day better or surprise one customer with more than they expect. These tiny sparks can ignite your own campfire. Build that fire with purpose, passion, and integrity, because that's a business worth loving. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.